Once, there was a girl who loved a boy. She was a woodcutter's daughter, and he was a prince. But they were both young people in love. In secret, they would meet in the woods and while away the hours in each other's arms. He promised her the world. She promised him her love. One day she waited for him and he did not come, nor the next day, or the day after. It wasn't until she heard the news that the prince had married a princess from a neighbouring land that she knew her grief. She became a hollow of the girl she had been. She could not stop her weeping, would not let herself be comforted. Alone, betrayed, she sewed stones into her skirts and walked into the lake deep in the forest where she and the prince had met. The water was cold on her ankles, and her skirts dragged at her, but it was her grief which pulled her down, down, down. Now the lake at night has its own law. She did not drown beneath the water. She was instead transformed. She found she could breathe, that her legs were grown together into fins, and the sadness inside her had become a deep and unending hunger. She had become a Rusalka, a dark spirit neither alive nor dead, that lured men down into the lake to their death. Here she would hover between life and death until the man who had betrayed her suffered as she had suffered, until the world grieved for her as she had grieved for the world. She sat in the moonlight and sang a song so heartsick that all who heard her became melancholy and listless.
I come from parents wanton, childhood rough and rotten. You come from wealth and beauty, untouched by work or duty. And oh, my love, and oh, my love, we both go down together.
In life, no one had noticed her sadness.
I come
In death, no one had grieved for her absence.
childhood,
And so as Rusalka, she forced those of her town to ache, to pine, and to grieve as she did.
touched by work or duty.
Once you heard her song, you could not help but come to her, and she would take your hand, your lips, and lead you down into the water, where your sadness would end beneath the waves. First it was the lonely men of the village who followed her song, then the widows, then the long married, whose sadness was quiet and unspoken. And before long, she had sung 100 people into the soft waves of the lake. The stories of the new Rusalka terrorizing the forest eventually reached the prince. He read about the beast drowning his subjects, saddening them with her song, so that they did little but cry all day until they walked into her arms for relief from their sadness. The prince sent out men to find out who it was that had wronged the Rusalka, so that she may be killed. But his soldiers could not find any man who had loved her. Since the prince knew the forest so well, he decided to hunt the Rusalka himself and ask her who had wronged the poor spirit so. He stopped his ears with wax so as not to hear her sad song, and set off in search of the dark mermaid in the woods. Beside the lake, by the light of the moon, he saw her, silver and sleek. He could not hear her song, but he knew her. He saw she was the girl he had wooed. It was he who had betrayed the Rusalka. It was he who could end the curse. He climbed out into the lake. He raised his sword high to strike her down. But he could not deal the killing blow. She looked at him, a wild and dangerous creature, no longer the sweet girl he had made promises to. He saw her sadness. He felt it deep inside his bones. He pulled the wax from his ears, and he surrendered. He let himself be dragged under the lake, where he drowned and broke the curse, in the arms of one who loved him best, loved him deepest, and hated him darkly.